A former World Player of the Year seems to prefer hockey to soccer. Terrence declines an offer to be paid in peanuts, and there's a chance that that's a literal rather than a figurative statement. Memphis is now located in France. Gunnar Solskjaer is the new Bob Bradley, and Dimitri Payet's life is now basically the plot of Mean Girls. It's Thursday, January 19th, 2017. From Dirty Tackle, Howler Magazine, and the Total Soccer Show, this is The Goalmouth, and I'm Taylor Rockwell. Up first, Dutch legend Marco van Basten wants to shake things up. The 52-year-old was hired by FIFA in September to oversee all technical areas ranging from innovations in technology to refereeing. And he's instead come up with a wish list for ways to improve the game that reads like something a terrible marketing team would develop to spice up an already decent product. Those changes include abolishing the offside rule, getting rid of yellow cards, and establishing sin bins instead. Perhaps most notably of all, Van Basten apparently watched a lot of the New York Cosmos back in the day because he wants to introduce NASL-style penalty kicks. The idea, if you're not familiar, would be to replace extra time and penalties with shootouts in which players would dribble towards the goal from 25 meters out. In actuality, a lot of what he's proposing seems to be rooted in hockey. Penalty boxes, shootouts, a different type of offside rule, that all sounds pretty ice hockey-ish. It makes me wonder if there was a situation in which Van Basten had been asked to prepare some new ideas and then forgot completely. Then he's got this meeting with FIFA execs, it's in a nice restaurant, he gets there early, he's a little bit panicking. On the TV, he catches a glimpse of a Caps game and he thinks, that's the ticket. So it will be very telling if he starts advocating for people to throw hats and occasionally octopi onto the pitch if someone scores a hat trick. That will tell us that he's been watching too much hockey. According to reports out of Germany, Terrence Boyd's proposed move from RB Leipzig to Huddersfield Town is off. The U.S. International and the Terriers were unable to agree to personal terms, with the likely scenario being that Boyd refused to take the likely significant pay cut that was on offer. The 25-year-old striker has made only 7 appearances for the Leipzig first team since he first signed for the club in the summer of 2014. He has, however, managed 5 goals in 9 appearances for the Leipzig 2 team thus far this season. Whether or not that will be enough to tempt another club into offering Boyd a lifeline remains to be seen. With all that in mind, though, you have to believe that Huddersfield's offer must have been horrific. Players who missed an entire year with injury and haven't featured in the current season don't usually hold out for big bucks and fast cars, so I'm guessing Huddersfield's offer was the rough equivalent of a coupon book and a bus pass. Speaking of young attackers who could definitely use a move, Manchester United's Memphis Depay is no longer one of those players. The 22-year-old winger, who prefers to go only by his given name of Memphis, has, according to ESPN, moved from the Premier League to Lyon in France for an initial fee of around £15 million. The transfer agreement, amongst other things, includes add-ons that could see the total amount increase to £21.7 million, a sell-on clause, and a buyback option. The Dutchman has not featured for United since an 8-minute cameo in November, but could reignite his stalled career in a French league that isn't exactly known for its consistently stout defenses. That at least seems to be the opinion of Jose Mourinho, who recently said of Ligue 1, quote, "First of all, I think the people in France have to be happy that Zlatan left because now you have a league. With him, no league, now you have a league. A league that I watch. I'm interested. Nice, Balotelli, Monaco, my friend Leonardo, Paris, now I watch Ligue 1, end quote. It makes you wonder if Jose secretly loves the French league, wants it to have parity, and is willing to sell players to specific clubs to make it happen. Lyon is starting to slip away from the title race. Give them Memphis. Yep, that's gotta be it. Speaking of Manchester United, former Red Devils legend Gunnar Solskjaer is reportedly in talks to take over as the manager of the Norwegian national team. The 43-year-old is currently in his second stint as manager of Molde after a disastrous spell with Cardiff City. Molde director Øystein Nierland, it's probably terrible, but I don't really speak much Norwegian, so I apologize for that pronunciation. He confirmed the link, stating, quote, "We received an official request a few days ago, and we have said yes to it," end quote. That request he mentioned was a request by the Norwegian FA to speak with the baby-faced assassin. Norway have only taken 3 points from 4 games in World Cup qualifying and currently sit in 5th place in qualifying Group C. That's out of 6 teams. Not ideal. One man who might not be so thrilled about the news is former Swansea City manager Bob Bradley, who had been heavily linked with the position. If Solskjaer does accept the job, Bradley would just have to content himself with the knowledge that he never, ever, ever has to manage Swansea again. And speaking of, it makes me wonder if maybe the biggest requirement for managing Norway is having failed significantly at club level in Wales. And finally, what to do with Dimitri Payet. As discussed by Daryl earlier in the week, Payet is still trying to force through a move to Marseille, and West Ham, as of now, are not having it. Or at least they aren't until an offer for many, many millions of pounds comes through. Until then, the West Ham players are dealing with the saga in the most modern way possible. They're removing him from their WhatsApp group. Yes, according to reports in the UK, Payet was removed from the players' group messenger service and was also, according to those same rumors, not invited out to dinner by a group of teammates that included Mark Noble and Andy Carroll. So basically, West Ham is high school now. Cliques have formed, the exchange student just wants to go home, people are being mean to other people on social media, only certain people get to sit at certain tables in the cafeteria. Most troubling of all, though, is that Michael Antonio is apparently still attempting to make fetch happen, despite having been told repeatedly to stop trying to make it happen by new signing Regina George. That's it for today's Goalmouth. You can explore all of these stories in more depth by subscribing to our newsletter. The link is in the show notes. Thank you to everyone who has left us a review lately. It's a little known fact that every time a 5-star review comes in, Ryan Bailey's level of enthusiasm increases just a little bit. So if we ever get to 1,000 reviews, there's a decent chance that he'll just explode. We shall see. I've been Taylor Rockwell. Mr. Bailey will be with you tomorrow, but until then, I'll leave you with today's Goalmouth top tip. Norwegians love a Welsh catastrophe.